Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to do the final review for the Tripredacus Council. So here they all are in their bot modes. I've been gushing over this set for the last 3 days, but I'm going to do it again. This set was incredible. It was $20. You didn't get this many sets that you could just buy, like a gift set in Beast Wars. So this was it. There was this, and then there's the maximal version Magnaboss, and that was garbage, absolute garbage. This, on the other hand, was just it's a joy. This is a great example. Well, we'll do some stuff with these guys first before I really go into too many things. So let's transform them, shall we? So let's get him out of the way. We'll get him out of the way. All right, so we'll start with C-Clamp here. So the first thing we want to do is pull this white piece here out. Okay, set this off to the side. Now this is not one of those generation toys or Warbitron where I'm like, oh, gotta set it off to the side. No, there's a purpose to setting this off for the side, and we'll come back to it. All right, so we fold up the legs. Fold up the legs. They tab in together. Just like so. Open this chest piece here. Flip the head down. Close that up. Then we want to open up the claws, flip the blades in, straighten that out. Same thing over here. Straighten that out. Rotate this ball joint so that it's facing downwards now. Just like that. And we want the lobster head on the outside here. Rotate the legs around so that they're all kind of, there's like a ridge on this side, so it kind of goes in line with the claw. So just kind of there and there. Okay. And then we untab this section, flip it around to the back, swivel the waist, and there you go. I think you guys can see what's going to happen with this set. If you guys didn't know that this was a combiner, now you do. I mean, although I would be surprised if you didn't know he was a combiner, but anyway. So set that off to the side. Ram horn next. So we want to take his claw section here out, set that off to the side. Come back to that later. Close up the face mask, and then we want to take this torso piece here. Actually what we want to do is take this head assembly, fold this out, extend this all the way, and then we can flip this out like this, and we want to get it situated so it's like this. Okay, now we can take this torso piece, his chest piece here, this will flip in, rotate it all the way around, and it'll tab into place. Tab the feet together, just like that. Then we can take these shoulder bits here. They rotate in and down and around, down and around, like that. We'll take this white piece here. This will plug in here. This gray piece here will plug into 2 ports beneath that, sandwiching together on the other hand, like that. You can take these blades here, tab those in. This is a spring launcher here, so you can see this work as we're going with it. So it's got a good power to it. All right. Now, so clean this up again. Tab that in. These 2 sides tab in together. And just like that. And then this side here, what you want to do, pull the arms out, and I like to rotate this around like this, and these 2 like that. And then we can actually, this is better. Like this. There we go. All right. Now, we'll set this off to the side. We'll come back to it in just a moment. Last up, we'll do CicadaCon here. So you open up this piece here, flip the head all the way back, leave that open. Then we can take these shoulder pieces here out and flip the head up. Okay, flip everything up. Split the legs. They hinge out to the sides here like this. These arms will fold together. And then there's a plug, slot, plug, plug. And you just kind of align those all up. Just like that. And then they sit right into the middle here. Flip down the cicada head, the sides of the cicada head, and then you can kind of there. So it just kind of forms like this chest piece. Hold up the feet, and we're ready to start combining. So the first step we want to do is we'll take ram horn here. And this whole assembly just kind of sits inside this chest piece here. Just like this. Okay. Close that up. And then this purple piece will flip down and it tabs, locking all that into place. Alright, now we can take these bug legs and we'll flip them back. Or CicadaCon legs. Fold them back, get them out of the way. There we go. And then we'll take, so we want this plug here, or this port here to plug onto this plug here. And these two tabs here will plug inside these purple hip pieces. Just like that. Tab it all in. Come over to the back here. We want to move this wing up, this wing up, this wing out of the way, and then he's got two pegs on the bottom of the feet here, or on the sides of his ankles, I guess. And these two will plug into these two holes there. So you just fold this up and plug it in. And there we have Tripredacus in combine mode. Get him stand straight. There we go. And yeah. No, I know. I mean, he's not the greatest combiner of all time. Toy World Devastator. Blows us out of the water. Remember, this is 20 years ago. Transformers hadn't made combiners since the 80s. So this was the first attempt at a combiner since G1. I think the last one to come out American-wise was what? The Seacons? Before they, just repainted everything. So I think this was a very ambitious take on their part. And to this day, still looks pretty menacing. I like the way this looks. So head is on a ball joint. So you get the left and right, up and down. The antenna does swivel up and down if you want. This shoulder swivels here, and he's got a hinge right below it. There's also a bicep swivel there. And then this assembly here, like the bottom claws can move in and out. Of course, you can shoot the top claws, but the way it's assembled, you can kind of maneuver it however you need to. Alright, this arm, you got the swivel here. There's a hinge right below it with the bicep swivel. There's a swivel right below the bicep. And then the fingers, if you want to call these fingers, you got a hinge here, ball joint here, hinge, ball joint, hinge, ball joint. So, and then there's another hinge in this one. So he's almost fully articulated hands here. 20 years ago, and Hasbro's combiners can't do that. Hips at the ball joints. There's a thigh swivel. Swivel below that. Knee hinge. There's a ball joint below that, and then the foot does slightly tilt. So yeah, there that is. For scale comparison, here he is with the Classics Prime, so he's a full head taller than Classics Prime, and a Seeker. So he's pretty big in comparison to a Seeker. Kind of close to a modern day Voyager-esque scale. Let's see here. Let's get Starscream here. My headless Starscream. Still a little bit bigger than him, but around that scale. And here he is with a basic and a deluxe. So one of the things that I loved about this set was in Beast Wars, they really settled down the size scales. Most of the figures were either deluxe or basics. I think there was more basics than deluxe, just barely. But that's the scale that they were going with. They didn't want to have too many that were too big, and that was perfect. Because you kind of get oversensitized or you're desensitized when you have a dozen leader class figures come out in a year, and you're sitting there, it's like, well, okay, who is in a leader class scale? You got Ultra Magnus, you got Megatron, you got Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker, 2 different Megatrons, 3 different Optimuses. It gets to the point, and Jetfire, and then it gets to the point where you're just like, well, they're all going to be leader class, and it screws up the scale. So most of them were basics and deluxes. There was then Megas, which were a little bit bigger. I don't think I have one readily available. I do not. I do not have a Mega readily available. But then there was the Ultra classes. Which at the time was reserved for... In the original wave of Beast Wars, there was only 2 other Ultra class figures, Megatron and Optimus. So there he is next to the Ultra class Megatron, which, as you can see, he is an Ultra class figure. So what was cool that I thought, because there wasn't very many Ultras. Here we have 3 characters that are somewhere in between deluxe and basic and deluxe, who can combine together to form an Ultra class character. And because the Ultra class characters were rare, there weren't very many options to fight it. Yes, this combiner isn't massive like the Toy World Devastator, or even if you go back to G1 when they're talking about how when you see them combine and they're so much bigger than the rest of the bots, they're holding characters in their hands, just that massiveness. It wasn't present in Beast Wars because the Beast Wars, as they said in the show, they downsized all the characters, or downsized all the Transformers to conserve energy. That was how they resolved the Energon Wars, was they downsized everybody. So having him combined into this massive thing would have been ridiculous, but having him combined into an Ultra class character, which makes him bigger than everybody else around, it makes him, imagine if this guy had to fight this guy. It would take a few of these guys to be able to even hurt him. So it was a game changer. For me, in my field of battle when I was a kid, having a combiner that would be another Ultra class, you have Megatron fighting Optimus, and then you have another Ultra class stomping around. It's like, oh man, what are we going to do now? So it was a lot of fun. And it was really cool. It made more sense, and it also just, for me, it just made it so that like this thing was intimidating without having to be 10 feet tall. So I love this set as a kid. I did absolutely love it. It has its issues, yes. This arm's a little, it's not, nothing on it's pretty. But it looks better than a Bayformer that came out. It's a Beast Former. It's a product of its time. But for being 20 years ago, this is before, Combiner Wars. This is before, all of those. Even the Energon combiners. This is before all of that. So this was a game changer. This was completely different. The way it combines, the way this combines, nothing's going to fall off of it. And that's one of the things that baffle me about the modern day combiners, is because this thing is 20 years old and they still haven't found a way to make combiners like this and make it this solid again. Let's see here. For scale, I'd give it 10 out of 10. If I'm trying to be objective, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. The arms are a little weak, but everything else is pretty solid. The combined ports are solid. It holds together really well. I think it's great. I love it. If you're a Beast Wars fan, I highly recommend it. If you're not a Beast Wars fan, of course, I don't recommend it to you at all. As a matter of fact, if you end up buying one for whatever reason, you can just go ahead and ship it to me, and I'll take care of it for you. And I've got Primal here. So here he is with Master Beast Primal. So, I would love to see, maybe another company take a shot at him and make him a little bit bigger. But I wouldn't want him much bigger. I wouldn't. The Magnaboss set was absolutely horrible. But this guy was great. It not only gave me a boost to my Predacons with the individual modes, but gave me the Ultra Class figures. So, and it's a really good example of what I've always said, that I want, when I look at a combiner, I want it to be a solid transformer and then a solid combiner. I don't want it to be like, oh well, it's a good robot, but the jet mode sucks. Or it's a good jet, but the robot sucks. Look at the Zeta Toys Bruticus that they're making. It's like the bot modes look horrible, but the arm modes look okay, look good, and the jet mode looks good. So they sacrificed the robot mode for it. It's like, ugh. Here's an example. Each one of these three, that's why I reviewed it the way I did, was because each one is a pretty solid effort on itself. Yeah, they have a few hindrances here and there, but ultimately I think it's a really solid team. If you're a Beast Wars fan, I do recommend picking it up. Watch those swords for Cicada Con, though. Definitely watch out for those, because you don't want to break those. That would really suck. Didn't cost me much to replace it. I bought this broken Cicada Con off of eBay for $6, and it had one wing with the missile still attached. So I do have a spare for parts if I need it. But yeah, there you go. I guess that's really all there is to this guy. We'll go back to some modern Transformers next week. I'm sorry.